Welcome to Table Talk Reviews. In this video, I'll be showing you how to brew up some fun in Whirling Witchcraft, a game for 2 to 5 players designed by Eric Anderson Sundin and published by AEG. So grab some toads and mandrake and I'll teach you how to play. To set up the game, give each player a player board and one of the cauldrons. It does not need to match the color as you'll be passing these throughout the game. Then give all players a reference card and a token for each of the 3 Arcana symbols, which can be used to track on the back of the reference card. I'll explain that in more details later. If it is your first game or you're playing with new players, it's recommended for all players to use the Initiate personality card marked with this moon and sun. This gives all players the ability to discard their personality card and hand of cards to draw a new hand of 4 cards before choosing a recipe card. Once you are familiar with the game, deal all players 2 unique personality cards from which they can choose one to keep and the other is returned to the game box. These personalities will give you either a special starting recipe, ongoing ability, or one-time use ability. On the back of your personality card are the starting ingredients that you'll begin the game with. Take these from your supply and add them to your workbench. Then flip your personality card back to the ability side for reference during the game. If it has an Arcana symbol, you add that to your tracker now. Place the ingredients and recipe deck in reach of all players, deal everyone 4 recipe cards, and you're ready to begin with the study phase. In the study phase, all players will simultaneously select one card from their hand and play it face down. Once all players have selected their recipes, we will reveal and resolve any Arcana symbols. In this case, this recipe has a crow symbol, so I will add my crow token to the Arcana tracker. Once any Arcana token hits an even number, you will resolve its associated ability immediately. Instead of tracking your Arcana progress on your reference card, you can also simply count the symbols on your recipe cards. Before we move on to the brewing phase, let's take a closer look at some of the recipe cards. Recipe cards contain the name of the recipe, input ingredients, an arrow, and the output ingredients. On some recipes, you'll find Arcana symbols above the name. These resolve after revealing the recipe. Other recipes will contain a squiggle instead of an arrow. This means that the card can be placed in either orientation, changing the inputs and the outputs. Players make this decision before revealing recipes, and once decided, they cannot rotate the card later in the game. Arcana symbols resolve whether they're on the top or bottom. Collecting 2 crow symbols on your recipe cards allows you to remove any 2 cubes from your workbench. They can be identical colors or different colors. Every second cauldron symbol that you collect on your recipe cards will allow you to take one ingredient from the supply and add it to your cauldron as if it was brewed that turn. The book Arcana symbol will allow you to choose any ingredient, and instead of taking it off your workbench to fulfill recipes, you can take them from the supply for that round. In this case, I have no green, so when I've collected my second book symbol, I could select green, and this round I will use green from the supply and the rest of my ingredients from the workbench. During the brewing phase, players will be simultaneously removing ingredients from their workbench to fulfill recipes and produce new ingredients. Produced ingredients are taken from the supply and not the workbench. Ingredients required from recipes can also be taken from other ingredients produced this round. So in this example, I have no white, but I can take this green and brew a red and a white, and take this white and 2 green from my workbench to produce a red, blue, and black. Once you've used all the recipe cards you choose to or are able to, return the ingredients used as inputs to the supply and add all output ingredients to your cauldron. Players will then pass their cauldrons to the player on their right, and players will add those ingredients to their corresponding spots on the workbench. If players do not have space for ingredients that they were passed, they will return those back to the player to their left who passed them to them, and that player will add them to their witch's circle. Now you check for winners. If any player has 5 or more ingredients in their witch's circle, they win the game. If multiple players get more than 5 ingredients in the same round, the player with the most ingredients in their witch's circle is the winner. If there is a tie for the most ingredients, the most different ingredients will win. If no players have won the game, pass the remaining recipe cards in your hand to the player on your left. Players receive their new hand of cards and draw up to the limit of 4 cards. Then begin a new round with the study phase. Just to recap, you're passing your cauldron to the player on your right and the remaining cards to the player on your left. It boils down to just that. Choose a recipe card, brew some ingredients, pass them in one direction, pass your cards in the other, and repeat until someone is the winner. And if that doesn't make it clear how quick this game is, this plays at a very snappy pace. The decision on which recipe card to choose isn't super brain intensive, so it doesn't take that long. And everything is happening simultaneously, so it all plays in under 30 minutes, making it a great filler length game. But don't let that deceive you, because this is a really good engine building challenge. You have to monitor a player on one side to see what ingredients they're not using so that you pass a lot of those to overwhelm the spaces on their board. But you also have to monitor the player on your other side to see what ingredients they are passing you, to choose your recipe cards that use them and pass the ingredients you want onto your opponent, because you don't want to pass good ingredients that your opponent is using so that they can win faster than you. Now, I'm not sure what the opposite of bragging is, but I haven't won a single game of Whirling Witchcraft. I've been close a few times, but other times I don't have a single ingredient in my witch's circle. But I still enjoy every single play. There's just a simple joy in using all of your recipe cards and loading up your cauldron with a ton of ingredients and passing them on to your opponent, even if they're able to hold all of them. Theme-wise, I'm really looking forward to busting out Whirling Witchcraft around Halloween, because it's in that vein, but it's not a horror or super spooky game that might put off some players, so it'll be great to play with families. Although the box does say 14+, I assume that's some legal thing about possibly choking on small cubes. You can definitely play this with children a few years younger than that. Something else I appreciated about this game that doesn't have to do with gameplay is that this box has enough space to store the cauldrons as they're built. There's nothing worse than having to break down cardboard components every time you put the game away. They just wear a lot faster, so that was just a small detail I appreciated. Whirling Witchcraft wasn't on my radar at all, but I really enjoyed this game, and it was always a hit when I brought it to the table. One friend even offered to buy it off me if I wasn't going to keep it. Unfortunate for him, this won't be leaving my collection anytime soon. If you liked this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more board game videos to come.